Shut up and sit down.
Hello, my friend. You are listening to the Dance Studio Scaled podcast, the number one place for innovative marketing, retention strategies, and business growth ideas made just for dance studio owners. Now, this isn't your average business podcast. We're here to shake things up, simplify the hustle, and focus on real, actionable insights. I'm your host, Jen Dalton, and after 30 years of running studios, coaching owners, and scaling businesses, I know one thing's for sure. There's no one size fits all in this industry. You've got the passion and I've got the tools to help you take it to the next level. So hit that subscribe button, grab a coffee, and let's scale your studio together. Well, hello there, Dance Studio fam, and welcome back to this week's episode of the Dance Studio Empire podcast. Now, this episode is part 3 of the Simplify Your Business series. And today I'm going to be talking about that moment that will make a huge difference in your business. Now, if you haven't already, go back and listen to part 1 and 2. They're over the last couple of weeks because this is the next step within this series. Now, in those last couple of episodes, I covered number 1 was the way to attract the right people, your perfect family to your studio. And then the second one is then once you've attracted them, how to then entice them to come and try your classes. What is it you're going to be offering? How is it that you're going to make yourself desirable enough for them to turn up and bring their child to try your classes? And today's focus is then all about that conversion. So how to actually sign them up. So after they've done their trial, and we want to do this without being salesy, without being pushy, or feeling awkward. Okay, so let me start with this. If you're attracting the right people and making it easy for them to try the class, then this part becomes quite simple, but only if you've done that groundwork before. Because what happens during and right after the class, this is where the magic is, or it can be a missed opportunity. All right, I'm going to just start with a bit of a truth bomb. You don't need to convince anyone to enroll. You simply need to create an experience that aligns with their expectations and values. Now, when you think about that, their expectations and values is going to be what you're putting out in your marketing and your branding and the conversations and what people are saying about you. And then that's the attracting the right people part. Then you've got them through the door. We want them to try their class and then make it a really easy yes for them to sign up. And in this episode, I'm going to walk you through the four ways that trial outcomes typically play out and exactly what to do in each case. All right, let's get to it. So the first scenario is that they want to enroll on the spot. Now, this is perfect. This is the ideal situation. And honestly, if you do that work from the episode 1 and episode 2, this should happen a lot. But here's the thing, you have to be ready. Now, if you're not set up to capture that yes right away or make it really easy for them, then there's a good chance that you'll miss them. So here's what ready could look like. Now, you could be old school and have a printed enrollment form. Now, I know not many people do. I still personally love paper, although it was pushed out when I still had my studio, but I still do love it. But if that's all you've got, it's still better than nothing to have that paper form. You can get their details, you can get their credit card details, whatever it is you need, grab that if that is your only option. You could put a QR code on the desk that will link them straight to your portal or to an online form to capture those details. If you had an iPad or a device ready for them to sign straight up, that is absolutely perfect. And I tell the story of when my daughter started swimming and I turned up. She did her first trial in the pool and they said, right, we're ready for you to sign up. They handed me an iPad and I literally filled in the details, including my credit card details, and it was done. I was signed up. I didn't have to think about it again. Or it could be that if you don't have any of those options, it could be that you just have a preset text message with a direct link and a short message that you can send them straight away. And that message might be, we loved having the child's name in your class. In my class today, if you'd like to enroll, here's the link to get started. Let us know if you have any questions. So that way they've got it in their pocket essentially, like they can, or you could send that while they're still at the studio and they can click through that way. And also having like real clarity around the payments and the process for them to set those payments up. Now, if you need bank details or if you need an enrollment fee, you want to make this really seamless. So don't send them home to figure it out later. You don't want them to rely on finding your website again. And I mean, I sit here personally, this is for me personally, like if something like this was to happen for me to get home and then to log in and try and find a website, it's so much harder work that there's a good chance that I won't do it. And so you need to get in the heads of your people that are coming through your studio doors, because they're probably the same. They're busy. They got a lot on. It's not that they didn't love it or they don't want to do it. The reality is life's busy, and every parent with the best of intentions can forget and they just won't follow through. So if they're ready, then you want to make it effortless. Okay. Scenario 2, they want to think about it. Now, this is totally normal, probably more common now for them to say this. And it's because not everyone wants to make it that decision on the spot. So some want to talk it through with their child. They want to sleep on it, check the calendar. Some are probably doing trials at other studios as well. So, and that is okay, but you still have a job to do. You need to follow up gently, but with purpose. So this is what I'd recommend. Before they leave, say something like, "No worries at all. I completely understand. I'll pop you a text or I'll give you a call tomorrow to check in. If you've got any questions or if child name has any feedback, then I'm happy to help." And then the following day, follow up with that text or a phone call. "Hey, parent name, just checking in." Then the child's name again. "Did such a great job in class yesterday. Let me know if you need anything as you decide what's next." Now, if it's suitable, you could use some really subtle FOMO. Now, I don't like doing it with pressure, but I do like to let them know. And you could say something like, "The class is close to being full. We'd love to save her a spot if she's keen." Or maybe, "We're shutting off enrollments because we're about to start concert routines or we're about to order costumes." So you can give them a little bit of that if that is applicable to your situation. And even if you're offering a bonus like a free t-shirt, a free gift bag, something that they might be getting, just mention that as well. I always encourage and always did for myself and my staff is to come from a place of service and not of desperation, because it's not about forcing them. It really is just about keeping the momentum. And people are really switched on these days. Like, as you know, I mean, the world is, we've got information coming at us all the time. So people don't really get fooled by, the jargon anymore, or the things that used to get people through the door really easily. It's like, "Oh, we're going to miss out. They don't really have that anymore. So you have to be really cautious about how you do present that. So the reality is, when it was my studio, we literally had no spaces, or we had wait lists, and classes did book out. So we could actually say that. And when it comes from that place of service, like, we really don't want your child to miss out, as opposed to, "I really want your child in my class to fill my numbers." People get that now. So just be aware of that. Okay, moving on to scenario 3. Now, this one is that they're just not the right fit for your studio. And sometimes you just know this. You've had the trial, the child didn't vibe, the parent was asking for things that you don't offer, or maybe it just didn't feel right. And here's my rule. You want to trust your gut. I would rather refer someone to another local studio that is a better fit for them than try and squeeze them in or mold them into something that doesn't serve either of us. Now, you're allowed to be selective. In fact, that is what really strong studio leaders will do. And here's a respectful way to handle that. You could say, "Thank you so much for coming. We've loved meeting you. Based on what you're looking for, Studio X down the road might actually be a better fit. They've got a brilliant and then type of program that sounds more in line with what you're after. Now, that's true leadership. That's community over competition. And often people will remember how kind you were and then refer you to others, even if they didn't sign up with you. We had that over and over again at our studio. So if people weren't the right fit, or we felt like they, could benefit being at another studio, I didn't hesitate in letting them know that. But then they would send people our way who fitted in. Now, also on that, I do want to say that I do know a lot of studio owners who are trying to build their numbers. This is really hard to make that decision. And sometimes you won't. And, I'm saying trust your gut and don't let them stay. But I know sometimes that you just might need to. You might need those numbers. You might need them to be paying to, cover the cost of the teacher or cover the cost of your rent. I totally do get that. But do know that down the track, at some point, they're going to cause you more time and stress. So you make that decision based on your situation. Okay, then scenario 4 is they decide that it's not for them. Now, this one can sting, of course, especially when you felt that it went really well. But we just have to remember that these things aren't personal. Sometimes they're just not ready, or sometimes another studio suits them better. Sometimes it's about schedule, budget, or it could even be just friends, or it could even be parking. Guys, if you listen to me, I go on about parking a lot. I'm clearly traumatized by parking for some reason. But sometimes even the parking can, make a decision for someone. But here's the key. You always want to keep that door open. So definitely reply. Don't just ghost them. And I see this over and over again. Don't ghost them. Say, thanks for letting us know. If things change or you ever want to try again down the track, we'd love to have you back. Just do that. Even if your heart's hurting, send that out, because there is a very good chance that they will be back. And because you also never know who they're going to be talking to next. So one no doesn't mean forever no. It just could mean not right now. All right, now I need to cover something before any of these follow-up scenarios can be played out. You have to make sure that the actual class experience is a winner. Now, I'm going to give you some tips. Now, if you're the studio owner and you're taking these classes, then that's great, because you're all over and in control of the classroom experience. But if you have teachers who are doing this, and especially if you're not at the studio, you need to make sure that the experience is incredible, and you need to make sure that it flows and every single teacher is doing the same thing. So a few little tips that could help in this situation would be making sure that the teacher knows that a trial is happening, or there's going to be someone coming into the class who is coming in for a trial, because you'd be shocked with how often this gets missed. And then the teacher's like, oh, a new face, and then they're surprised. You also want them to have the dancer's name so that they can refer to them straight away. This is such a simple thing that will make such a difference. Giving them a really warm and structured welcome. So again, with my teachers, we almost had scripts of what they had to do and say and where to stand every time someone new came in. If there was an assistant there, they had a job as well. So really keep it structured. They need to be included in everything. So even if they're choosing to sit out, maybe they're feeling shy or they don't want to be part of it, the teacher needs to know to keep engaging with them. So eye contact, maybe sending out the encouraging, you sure you don't want to join us, or you're more than welcome to come into the circle. Just making sure that they're continually included, even if they're sitting to the side. And then ending the class with, it was really lovely to have you in here, and I hope to see you again. It was fun. Ending with something positive, and we could see you next week. Like, give them sort of that future hope. And don't forget the parent. If the parent's in the waiting room or picking them up, acknowledge them. Have that conversation. And it doesn't even have to be long. You're probably about to go into the next class, so you can't have those long conversations. But just acknowledge that their child did a great job. They seem to enjoy it. If you've got any questions, please let us know. Even if you can't have a conversation, at least acknowledge them with a smile and a thank you. Those first impressions really, really matter, and they happen fast. But I also do appreciate sometimes there's chaos in the waiting room because you've got lots of other kids and there's, classes are switching over. I do get that. But I think it's really important to make this a priority, because this could be the difference between getting a long-term dance family in your studio that could stay there for 18 years essentially. So we want to make that a priority. All right, let's do a quick recap of their 4 likely outcomes after a trial. So the first one is you've delivered an exceptional class. The first one is they enroll on the spot. You need to be ready to onboard them straight away. Have that system set up. Don't let them walk out without having a conversation or a next step. They need to know. And if you can do it on the spot, beautiful. Number 2 is they're going to need time. So they just want to have a quick conversation with someone. Follow up. You want this call or this text to be pretty soon, like either by the end of the day or the next day straight away. Don't let them sit on it for too long. And then I'd do it again, maybe in 2 more days after that, and then 2 more days after that. So if you haven't heard anything back, we don't want to let up on them because they're probably busy. The third way that they're likely not going to be signing up is if they're not the right fit. And so whether that's determined by them or you, kindly refer them somewhere else if you feel that there is a studio that could benefit them, and then release them with grace. So be okay with that. And then number 4 is they say no, and this is absolutely okay. You're not going to be perfectly suitable for everybody. But you want to remain professional. You want to leave that door open because you never know what the future will bring or who these people are going to talk to. Okay, now this is part of the enrollment journey, and it's often where we will lose or lock families in. And remember, if we lock a family in, they could be there for years. So it's absolutely worth putting in the time and effort and the training to do this. But remember that it's not always going to have anything to do with discounts or pressure. It really is about your confidence, the clarity that you're projecting, so they know exactly what's happening. They're feeling confident. They're feeling calm because they know where they're going to park. They know where they're going to sit. They know where they drop off or where they pick up. That clarity piece. And then there's also that connection, because either you as the studio owner are in there or your teachers have been trained to have that connection, not only with the child, but with the parent as well. If they feel seen, if they feel understood and safe, then you won't need to sell anything. They will want in. And this is a huge mindset shift, which a lot of people are falling short with at the moment, because there's that feeling, it's that desperation of needing more. I need more students. I need to grow my business. And I get that, but so do people who are coming to the studio. So that could be another podcast episode, but let's just talk about that another time. All right, so let's just talk about your actions for this week off the back of this episode. So I would encourage you to audit your post-trial process. So asking yourself, do your teachers know when trials are happening? Do they know their names? Are they given a heads up? Is the parent journey clear? So for the parent, do they know what's happening? Do you have a following up system? So is this part of your follow-up, your onboarding? Is this documented? Do you have this documented in your SOPs or in a playbook somewhere? And then the last thing is, what can I automate and what can I personalize? Because a lot of the points in this part is personal. And so we need to work out how to balance that. All right, so you've already done the hard part by getting them in the door. So now we just want to make them stay. Okay, I really hope that you found this episode helpful. Next week, we'll head into the final episode, and it's all about the retention piece and keeping them for as long as you can, or their dancing life. And it's one that you don't want to miss. But until then, I want you to just keep showing up, keep serving, and know that every single family that you impact is a reflection on you and your leadership. So you've got this. All right, I will see you next week. Thanks for tuning in to the Dance Studio Scaled podcast. Now, if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to hit subscribe, leave a review, and share it with other studio owners who would love it too. And let's keep the conversation going. Follow me on Instagram at Jen Dalton for more tips, insights, and behind-the-scenes moments to help you simplify and scale your studio. Until next time, keep dreaming big and taking action. I'll see you back here soon.